We have one final reader before we take a little break. This is a man who went on a pilgrimage to a church recently. Maybe he'll talk about that, maybe he won't. It's George Monaghan.
I'm not talking about the pilgrimage this time. I'm going to talk about England's recent World Cup campaign. So feel free to leave the room if you need to. But I do hope that this will pay some tribute to your pain. It's called Football is a Losing Game. My country needed me. That line doesn't often excuse a working day of near zero productivity. But there was a special quality to the country on the morning of the 6th of July. We hailed one another, weary and delirious, asking, where did you watch it? It was the lightness of knowing your day can be totally forgettable because the night before will be remembered forever. England against Mexico was our moon landing, and not only because of the Azteca Stadium's much referenced altitude, the aerospace engineering of Thomas Tuchel's defensive shell, or the hypersonic velocity of Anthony Gordon as he streaked down the wing. It was a night when a nation stayed up until the dreaming hours and found itself dreaming anyway, all awake and all together. For one night, the infrastructure of bedtime was suspended. Parents roused sleepy kids for a special memory. I began watching in my flat, but at half-time felt compelled to dart out to the pubs, and so did my friends. England faced Mexico in the round of 16 after only shakily besting teams such as Panama and Congo. The match would take place in Mexico City at 1 a.m. British time and 2,240 meters above sea level. Since the Azteca had been built in 1966, also the year England last won the World Cup, Mexico had only lost there twice. Electric storms delayed kickoff by an hour. Masses of English attempted and failed a micro-sleep. Mexico's players and fans thrashed out the national anthem with a ferocity that justified its insipid Mexicans at the cry of war. But we excised the game's fury nicely, controlling possession at the back until the shelter of the first hydration break. In phase 2, we adopted a more inquisitive passing game, and suddenly Jude Bellingham had scored, and suddenly Jude Bellingham had scored twice. Guy Mowbray called it the stuff of dreams. But Mexico scored almost as startlingly, and we survived the rest of the half under siege, then ducked for the dressing room and the draft taps, 2-1. From the Azteca's sound system, Mr. Brightside sang presciently, I just can't look, it's killing me. The second half ricocheted into its terrible conditions with a red card for the England defender, Kwanzaa, an England penalty that eked out some breathing room, and then a Mexican penalty that removed all of it. The terms were set, and the match rose to the epic register that it will stay in forever. 3-2, England 1 goal up but 1 man down, with 38 minutes of Mexican onslaught to be withstood. 38 minutes of Mexican onslaught later, Jordan Pickford punched out the last corner cross, and England's greatest World Cup performance since 1966 was complete. If you were asleep, that was the moment around 4:15 when the street erupted in cheers. Every player had willed himself through to a desperate sublimity, where the final whistle came the twinkling chords of 3 lines and the mention of 30 years of her that are now double that. But the squad flowed to the fans for a different song. With the rendition of Wonderwall came a familiar English moment. All of us had given up ourselves again to the old belief, the hope that kills us, that it might come home, that maybe this was going to be the one that saved us. How do you love a son? That almost infinite question has, in England, one simple answer. You teach him to kick a ball. My mum and dad's parental performance looks more and more miraculous to me every day, but I've only ever heard themselves congratulate themselves for one triumph. That if I ever wanted to kick a football, my dad was outside with me, kicking it back. We knew we wanted to send you to school able to play football. For me, and for most of the boys I knew, football was the central activity and interest, the sole culture from childhood to adolescence. Break times were jumpers for goalposts. Birthday presents were football kits. Entertainment was FIFA 07. and bedroom decorations were Wayne Rooney posters. Our oldest friends, if we are so lucky as to have kept our first school friends, are most likely in some way football friends. Mine, when I meet them, still appear to me characterised by football positions and styles that they are now much too injured, too old, too busy, or too far back in the Ozempic queue to rehearse. For all the diverse passions they now chase, their first dream was to be a footballer. I can remember exactly which three boys, Bertie, Harry, that's actually my twin, who's there, Anton, reigned as the best in the year at different times, and I think I always will. Not that you teach a son football to secure him glory. You do it more to ensure him a proper failure, to introduce him to disappointment. A central experience of footballing youth is encountering the unimaginable, unplayable next level player, then discovering how many next levels exist above him. The apex of the football pyramid rises not just out of reach, but out of sight. It may be that footballer is a good first dream because it is a dream so well broken. In this country, football is the only contest for which all of us are eligible and trialled. Footballing excellence might be the only such merit. There might be undiscovered Mozarts in Middlesbrough, but there are no undiscovered Messis. The team fielded really is the best we have. So it's tempting to fancy that because we all tried out for the team, we're all on the team, that I am somehow the 200,000th reserve for centre mid, and that the composure on the ball I used to display some way raised the bar for Declan Rice. That our preposterously long subs bench does have a space marked out for me. Really though, the point of football is not that we're included, but that we're excluded. It's a chosen and shared powerlessness. You say we, but you're not on the team. They can't hear you, you know, the cynic says as you scream at the TV, missing the point entirely as you only scream louder. We sit down to a match already defeated years ago. At whatever point in childhood we understood that we would not play for England. The first high five I ever shared with my dad was at the 2021 Euro final at Wembley. I felt free to sing Sweet Caroline in front of my parents at the top of my voice, which is something I would never otherwise do, because my voice was lost even to me among everyone else's. After the loss, the fans trudged silently out of the stadium, the habitual thoughts about what if we'd won lapping our minds, let down again and again. It rained colourful fireworks above the stadium. A man dropped some paper from his pocket. The man behind picked it up, quietly got his attention, and gave it back to him. That sadness, I thought, felt somehow nourishing. I would have traded it for an England win, but I don't think I would have traded it for a painless England loss, one made painless by my never having hoped that we would win. Now we're believing again, of course. It is hard even to think of defeat. Norway are beatable, and there are only 2 games left after that. I'm not sure my country needs me, but I need my country, win or lose. Maybe this really is going to be the one that saves us. Maybe we're already saved. Come on, England.